Hey, I'm Carlos, and I know nothing about coding. Well, I wouldn't say nothing, just not as much as I should know as a junior getting a CS degree. So in order to fix this, I am making this weekly devlog series to show me making projects, learning coding, and hopefully allowing myself to graduate and get a job, because everyone just keeps saying that CS majors will never get a job after they graduate. So, I'm trying to fix that. That's the goal. We're gonna make projects, give myself a fighting chance to get a job after I graduate. Because I'm also an accounting major, and no offense, accounting's not nearly as fun as coding, so we're gonna try and code and then fall back on accounting. But that's what this video is for, video series is for, so we can actually learn code and hopefully get a job. But let's get past that. So this series is gonna be about making projects, learning how to code, solving leak code questions, and just overall trying to enhance my knowledge about being in computer science. As for the language and pathway that I'm going, I decided on front-end web development. Now here at the school, we're taught Python, which is fine. You probably should learn Python. I probably should learn it eventually, but I was like, nah. Because of two tutorials. One was by BlueCode and the other was by Chris Courses. Great tutorials, highly recommend them for anyone trying to get into coding. Now for BlueCode, he taught you the basics. But Chris Courses, he taught you how to make HTML canvas games, and I thought that was awesome. So because of that, I decided, well, might as well learn front-end web development and also make video games with it. You know what? Right now, I'm just making regular web development projects, but maybe later on we can start making video games because I already have a really fun idea that I'm trying to do. Now, as you start a journey or attempt to learn something, you should set goals for yourself. But as for right now, I don't really know how to quantify any goals to set. So we're just gonna be trying to make projects, give myself a task and try and complete it by the end of the week. At least one project by the end of the week. Or one task in a project. Because, if you're making a full-scale game, you're not gonna complete it in a week. But let's say you can complete the combat system. You know what I'm saying? So while we don't have any actually literal goals, we do have mental goals.
Forget about what that word means. There's a fire breaking out in the language lobes. We need to get out of here. The door's jammed. Push harder.
Just follow me throughout the series. We'll figure it out. Now it's time for the projects. At the beginning of this week, I started with coding a calculator. Now, because of the tutorials I did with Chris Courses and BlueCode, I was actually able to start pretty easily setting up my variables and everything else needed to start the project, really laying down the foundation. Now, one thing I told myself while making these projects is that I wouldn't rely completely on tutorials. I wouldn't rely completely on how to make a HTML calculator tutorial. I just wanted to learn the syntax, look it up, solve problems by myself, because that's the only real way you're gonna learn. If you copy and paste code all day, you're not gonna learn anything. You need to learn how the lines interact with each other, what they do, and overall their importance within that project. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what this calculator is showing me how to do. You gotta make the buttons, you gotta interface, and how do you center a div? Because what is a div? What is a div? Now, though I was able to set up my variables, I still didn't completely know what I was doing, especially when it came to converting strings and numbers, which in theory seems really easy. And you should know whether you need a string or a number. But to be honest, I just felt like I was copying and code, converting what was already a string back into a string, or converting a number back into a number, or a string into, it was kind of confusing, especially when you get into objects, and is the object a string? There's a lot we still have to learn, and that's what this devlog is for. We're learning how to code and how it all works. So yeah. Now looking back and doing this commentary over the video, I realized that my face cam has been covering most of the project and all the code I've been doing. And I do apologize for that. Later in the video, I do fix it. But as for right now, we're just gonna skip over the majority of me making the thing until we get to that finished product where you can actually see. I'm actually kind of proud of it, so I'll kind of explain what happened as I'm showing it. Now at this point, I have all the buttons and I have the display, so we have a working calculator. Functional. Now aesthetically, it's a little rough around the edges. First off, we have a display that isn't always displaying. It only displays when a variable is there, like a number 0 or our numbers. And so to fix this, I tried to make it where there was always a 0 present. That didn't work. And also I tried watching the video again and explaining what I was coding and my thought process to it, but I just do not know what I was doing, I'll be honest with you. I'm like 99% sure what I was trying to do was like make it where there's always a 0 until you put an input. But then the problem was when I put that input, I couldn't put another input. It wasn't working how I needed it to at all. So overall just went with a different method that I can't even explain to you because I don't know what I was thinking back then. And it's making me realize now that I really need to journal while I'm coding. So to anybody who's learning projects, actually journal or talk to your devlogs what you're thinking, because don't be like me. I was coding while in my classes and recording this in classes. That's why you see other students blurred out behind me in the face cam. So either talk in your devlogs and not record while you're in class, or just journal while you're coding, which I know is an extra step, but it'll probably help you understand what is actually going on. Now, after I got my finished functioning calculator, it was time to apply styling in CSS, which arguably is probably the hardest thing for a coder. And here's why. You know, we're coders. We can be creatives. But me personally, I'm like iffy when it comes to artistic side of it. So did I not kinda, I pulled some inspiration from images, and also I had to use some Chris Course's tutorials. But anyway, you take some CSS, you put it on the calculator, bada bing, bada boom. It actually looks pretty good in my opinion. You know, we got the display, we got the buttons where it has like a press down effect. We got some stylizing text. You know, it's a calculator. It looks good, I like it. It functions, it's aesthetically pleasing. And I say project 1, done, exit out. We completed we made a calculator. My next project was something a bit simpler and one I had taken from Bro Code's tutorials. In his JavaScript video, he teaches you how to make a number guessing game through window alerts. And while I like that, I wanted to make it into an actual visual web front page that someone could log into, not even log into, just pull up and play the game without having to do window alerts. It, you know, make it more aesthetically pleasing. And because we already had the JavaScript down, all I had to do was really just put it into an HTML page with its ID, elements, and variables. And the reason I'm telling you this, not showing this to you, is because the recording just stopped. I don't know what happened. Like, we have a recording of my face and all my reactions while making it, but there's absolutely no screen recording of me coding it. So I do apologize for that. That's on me, my bad. So instead, here's the finished project. You know, it works. It doesn't look right, again, because your boy just isn't good at making things look good. You know, it's gonna take me some time, but it does work. You know, guess the number 1 through 100, tracks attempts. It works, all right? I'm proud of it. It does what it needs to do. End the story, next project. On the real though, if y'all wanna help me make this thing look a lot better, just comment down in the videos what I should do, because I was just like, I mean, it works. I don't think it needs to look pretty, but if y'all know a way to make it look prettier, just let me know, I appreciate it. A quick side note before we get into the last project of the week was I used W3 School's array tutorial to try and learn about arrays. Now, I know what an array is, I just did not know how to use it or what a for loop is. I mean, I remember in class we'd be doing for loop projects, I'd be looking at it like it was Egyptian hieroglyphs. Like how am I supposed to interpret what that is? Like I of this, increment it, you know, it just didn't make sense to me. So I used the tutorial and it actually helped a lot. I now know what an array is, I can do a for loop, I think. It may not work, but it's set up. I know that's very contradictory, but that's beside the point. I know the elements of a for loop. So if you need really so you got 3 great tutorial sites. W3 Schools, Chris Courses, and Bro Code. Check them out. They're all great things. Highly recommend them. Now on to the next project. All right, for the final project, I decided to go back to something I was really interested about back in the day was a password manager. Now, originally, I made it using Python. And by I made it, I mean I copy and pasted some code from a tutorial. So I didn't really make it. Like, it worked, and I think I understood the processes of like how it worked, but I didn't know what the code actually meant. Basically, we had a login page, you created your login user, you signed in, then you would enter like a website you wanted the password for. I also made it generate an auto password, like a random password. It generate the random password, encrypt it, and then you could request it decrypt it, right? And so basically I wanted to do that, but in JavaScript and without a tutorial. Now, I'm not gonna say I was completely, didn't know how to do it. I knew how to do some parts, But we get to a certain point where I just genuinely hit a brick wall, right? So we started off with making a sign up and a sign in page. And I wanted to start with a sign up because, you know, you can't have users if you don't have a user database. So my first step was trying to make a user login system. Now, originally, it sucked. Like, I couldn't figure out how to create the user in the array. What was happening was, basically, I created an array that had a test user, test and test, right? User test, pass test. Got that. That, you know, the sign up had to detect if like that username was already being used, because then you had to redo it. You could have to use a new user, right?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Well, when I did this for loop to go through it, it would work on if you use test test. So I'm like, okay, bet. So let me enter a new user, 1 in 1. Keep it real simple. It entered. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, let's say I wanted to test for that 1 1 again. I did enter 1 1, and it'd still create the user because the for loop would go through test. It'd see that that is not equal to 1 1, and it'd make 1 1 again. And it just wouldn't make 1 1 again when I saw that 1 1 in the array. See what I'm saying? Like, it's not true here, so it created even though it's true here. And so I'm like, all right, dang, can't do that. So next, I was like, and I kept functioning, or kept fiddling with this for loop, trying to make it work, and it just wouldn't work. So I said, screw it, we're trying something else. Straight scrapped it all, scrapped the for loop, and I just went with a bunch of if statements. Not even gonna lie to you, it's just a bunch of if statements, and it worked. Also learned how to like the includes array syntax, whatever, figured that out, and that's how I ended up doing it. So basically, if you can see the code, but if the user inputs are empty, try again. If the password and the confirm password don't work, you know, passwords don't match. All right, you get through those, bam, now it checks to see if your user is already included in the array. You know, and if that works, bam, like everything was working. Now, because arrays are not permanent in JavaScript, you know, when you're trying to add, I had to make a JSON file, I think, in like user database. And this is where things killed me. So now that I had the user database working, or the user sign up working, being able to add things to a database, I now had to write it to a JSON file. The problem is, bro, I don't know how to work with a JSON file to save my life. I mean, I kid you not, I was going through pages and pages and files, like syntaxes worth of code trying to figure out how to get this JSON file to work. Because I didn't even know how to create one for the database, straight up. I was like, I don't know how to create to it, I don't know how to write to it, pull from it, like I didn't know anything, right? And there was stuff like saying, oh, you gotta use Node.js, or you gotta use a fetch API, or you gotta use React. Like there were so many things, and I couldn't interpret it. Like straight up, I hit a knowledge block, no idea what to do. And that's just where I ended this week. I'm not gonna lie, I ended at a roadblock. I didn't know how to work with a JSON file. It was already Friday. I gotta make this video. And so yeah, we end the week kind of stumped, and hopefully going into next week, we'll actually learn how to use, I think this is like backend, technically. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see if we can learn backend using JSON files. But for right now, the project is at a standstill until we figure that out. So that was my first week of our devlog. I hate to end on an unfinished project, but I mean, I just didn't know what to do. And unfortunately, it looks like there's gonna be a mountain of learning that we're gonna have to climb to figure this out. But coding is all about problem solving and learning new things. So, you know what? I'm excited for it. And also happy to maybe actually finish this project next week. Because the next project planned is our game, our HTML Canvas game. And I'm really excited about that because I already got ideas planning. It's about a favorite topic of mine, favorite style. Like, trust me, I'm going to probably put my heart and soul in this game. And I'm really excited for it. And I hope you like it. So I just want to say thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And be on the lookout next week for my next devlog. All right, peace.